Hello and welcome to this OXID Academy training. In this video, we will implement the basic files for an OXID eShop module. Then we install, configure, and activate it to have a base for further OXID development. Also, we will dive a bit more into the module configuration states. A module is one of OXID's extension types. This type provides many possibilities to extend the features of the OXID eShop and comes with a special activation workflow. While components are active directly after installation, modules can be installed, configured, and activated step by step. In fact, they have 4 states we will go through in this exercise. This means after installation, not much will be seen from the module in your shop. We can pre-configure the module options as desired. As soon as we are happy with the settings, we can activate the module to see real changes or new features in our shop. In addition, if we are using an OXID eShop Enterprise Edition, the module can be active in some shops but inactive in others. It is no global change but shop-specific instead. Also, the settings can be configured different per shop. To integrate many of these possibilities, modules introduce an additional configuration file called metadata.php. However, before starting with these extension possibilities, we need a base that follows the same principle as other extensions. A module is a composer package. Therefore, we create our composer.json file and we do this in a new directory. In this example, we create the directory product promotion banner in our extensions directory. This will be the directory for our module. All files we create now are placed in here. We start with the composer.json file containing the typical contents. Pay attention to the type. This time we must set the type OXID eShop module to tell the framework what to do with this package when running the composer installation process. A module must not use services and therefore there is no service registration while installation. However, the different type requires different tasks to be executed during the installation. The 2 tasks you should have heard about are the creation of the module configuration based on the metadata.php file and the installation of the assets. Same as with service registration of components, these tasks are done by the OXID eShop Composer plugin. Therefore, you usually do not need to take care of it manually. The framework does the job for you. If there's a need to manually trigger the module configuration file creation, you can run the OE module install command from the OE console. This is handy in developing phase because we will build our metadata.php step by step and need to update the configuration file every time we modify something. The assets can be installed afterwards too. You simply run the command OE module install assets from the console. These 2 commands give us the advantage that we just need to run the composer require command one time at the beginning and all changes we do afterwards in our metadata.php or our assets can be transferred with one of these OE console command. After creating the composer.json file, we must create the mentioned metadata.php file with its minimum contents. We place it also in the extensions root directory. The contents consist of some information about the module as well as several definitions of extensions. For first installation, we simply need the required general information. The minimum mandatory information is the metadata version, which is set with S metadata version in the array, a module containing at least ID and title. Nevertheless, we highly recommend to set other information like description, version, or details about the author. The current metadata version and all possible array keys are described in our documentation. In the following example, we use current version 2.1 and provide ID, title, description, version, and details about the author like name, website URL, and an email. Last but not least, we also added a thumbnail. All this information is then displayed in the administration area of the OXID eShop. The module ID must be unique and should therefore be prefixed with your vendor abbreviation. In this example, we shortened OXID Training Product Promotion Banner to OXTR-PPB, which is very likely to be unique. The ID is often used for other values you need to prefix within your module, which we will do later on. While all source code is stored in the src directory you define for autoloading in your composer.json file, the thumbnail must be stored in a directory called assets. Within the Assets directory, you may choose whatever structure you want, but we recommend to have a Pictures directory in it and put the thumbnail inside. The path starts from the Assets directory, which results in a value pictures/logo.svg that we set as the thumbnail value. Also have a look at the description values in the above example. We decided here to set a description in both languages, English and German. You can do the same for title, and naturally for other languages you add it to your administration area. After preparation of both configuration files, composer.json and metadata.php, our module is still in first state called non-existent. You may complain about this state, since your directories and files definitely do exist, but currently they don't do for the OXID eShop, and that is why we are still in this first state of non-existence. The files we created could be at any location. Think of a remote repository like GitHub. Unfortunately, a remote repository would bring us some hassle in the step-by-step development here, and so we place all the files in the extensions directory and use a local repository. This being said, we need to configure the repository with composer config and can install our package afterwards. If you don't know about extension installation, please check out our components video. After the installation with Composer required, the module reached its second state called installed. If you log into your shop's administration area and navigate to extensions and then modules, you should see your own module in the list. The shop now knows about it and is ready for the next two states. First one is configured, which means we've done with our configuration of the module options. This is a state we do not need to tell the shop about. We can set our options as desired in the Settings tab in the administration area. Our module does not have any settings at the moment, and this means we are kind of in third state configured anyway. Last but not least, we can activate the module with a click on the Activate button. This brings us to the fourth and last state called Active. All changes, new elements, or whatever the module will do are applied now and should be noticeable in the shop. You should test the activation also with our newly created module, even though it does not contain any modifications right now. If activation is done without any errors, you are good to go with upcoming additions to the module. Before we continue adding extensions to our module, we first want to have a short look at the module configuration. These are stored in YAML files located in the var/configuration/shops directory. And there you find a separate directory for each shop. If you started with a clean installation, you probably have just the directory one. Otherwise, when using an OXID eShop Enterprise Edition, you may have directories 1, 2, 3, and more, depending on your number of shops. In Directory 1, we find the modules directory. If your module is visible in the administration area, there has to be a file named with your module's ID. In our example, you should find a file called oxtrppb.yaml. In this file, you find all the module details as well as the extensions that include the module settings. Currently, we do not have any extensions defined, but if you are looking into a configuration file of another module, you might find some entries. The most important ones are the entries inside the module settings key. Besides setting up the options in the administration area, you can also define the settings values in this YAML file. If you do so, the settings are mirrored to the administration area, or rather the administration area reads from these files and saves to it too. This means we can reach the configured state without touching the administration area, and we can even activate the module without doing so. While activating modules in the administration area is convenient for shop administrators, a developer may want to stay in their coding environment, and we can do stay there. It is possible to activate and deactivate every single module for every single shop in an Enterprise Edition via the OE console. For this purpose, the OE console comes up with the OE module activate and OE module deactivate commands. We can use this with our newly installed module by passing its module ID. The console output confirms the activation and deactivation. Now you know where to find the module configuration. The creation of it is one of the two important tasks on module installation. The second task is installing the assets. Our module currently only has one asset, which is the logo.svg. This file is copied during installation process to the global source/out directory. You should find it in source/out/modules/oxtr/ppb/pictures. This is important due to the fact that the vendor directory where all extensions and libraries are stored must never be available for public. Our source directory instead is the correct place for publicly accessible files such as the index.php or pictures like our logo.svg. For more information and tutorials about the OXID eShop, check out our other videos or head to the online documentation.